What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to another episode of the Sports Hub. I'm Alex Strouf. Joining me today, Mr. Ben Zitouni on the end, Mr. Jacob Sennholz to my left. Gentlemen, how are we doing? It's almost spooky season, last episode of October.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a long week. I'm just trying to get to the end of the semester so I can graduate and be done.
There we go. We're halfway
Never
done.
coming back.
There you go. That's depressing. Yeah. Jake.
It is going to be sad to lose Ben.
Beautiful face.
The time is closely approaching, but thank you for all the work you've done here, my friend. My week is going all right.
I don't know if I would call it work, but I'll take the compliment.
I wish the Brewers were in the World Series, but other than that, it's been a pretty good week.
just about to say, a Brewers loss in Game 7 of the NLCS, and 3 exams later, here we are. It's been a long week, but we're almost coming to the end of it. But on this episode of the Sports Hub, we'll be talking about all things Pointer sports, the Badgers football team's rout of Illinois, the Green Bay Packers, a motorsports update with the beautiful Joey Huebsch, the World Series, and our wonderful segment, What's Bothering You? All on today's episode of the Sports Hub. The Pointers football team lost 31-27 to the UW Stout Blue Devils on Saturday in the annual homecoming game. The game was delayed by 30 minutes because of snow. That's right, snow. The Blue Devils were up 7-0 before senior wide receiver Christian Almonte took the ensuing kickoff 93 yards to the house to tie up the game at 7 apiece. The Pointers took the lead for a second time when Max Harrow, freshman quarterback, threw a 61-yard pass to the aforementioned Almonte to put the Pointers ahead 14-13 early in the second quarter. One play after the ensuing kickoff, Cameron Krasansky recovered a Blue Devils fumble and scored on the 16-yard return to push the lead to 21-13, Pointers' advantage. UW Stout then tied the game up at 21-all on their next drive, and it stayed 21-all until the beginning of the fourth quarter. The Blue Devils got 10 points in 2 drives to make it a 31-21 lead. The Pointers scored a late touchdown, but were not able to come back to get the victory. Max Harrow led the Pointers offense, completing 14 of 25 passes for $200, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Shamaje Williams led the Pointers in rushing with 79 yards on 17 carries. Steve Harrow led the Pointers in receiving with 8 receptions, all in the second half, for a total of 91 yards. They are now 2-5 on the season. So guys, what are your thoughts from this game? We were all on the call of it from some aspect.
I mean, going into this game, it was the previous 5 matchups between the two schools ended within 5 points, and now it's
here's another one.
Now next year it's going to be the previous 6 games. But the Pointers definitely should have won this game. When it got to 21, when they got up 21-13, I really thought that they had the game in the bag, but I turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, it was just a matter of not making crucial mistakes, which I think they made. But Jake, I'll let you touch on that a little bit. I mean, offensively, we talked a lot, all 3 of us, in the past couple weeks about getting some traction offensively, running the football, trying not to throw so many passes with a freshman quarterback. They did a little bit better than last week. It went from 38 attempts to 25 for Max Harrow. Shamaje Williams looks like he's the front back now. But what were some of those crucial mistakes that I mentioned?
Yeah, you could see the offense really progress as the game went on, but one of the biggest mistakes was right away at the beginning of the game. Pointers defense made a big stop. Here comes the offense out on the field and fumbles the ball on the very first carry. Turns it over on, I believe, was about the 7-yard line, somewhere in there, and Stout easily turns around and punches the ball, and that is a major mistake that you can't have happen. Another thing was just special teams, and we've been harking on this all season long, and I know you have been too, is the special teams of the Pointers. A bunch of mistakes during the punt game, so definitely mistakes made all over the field, but especially that offense. However, like I mentioned, they did really kind of come around as the game progressed. They got outrushed by about 200 yards.
Yeah, that's never good.
Is never ever good. But the other thing that I wanted to kind of point out about this Blue Devils team, their big 3, their best receiver, their best running back, and their quarterback, they're all freshmen. So definitely a tough test coming up for the next few years in the Stout team if you're UWSP.
Yeah, as mentioned, Keyshawn Carpenter, the running back for Stout, he doubled his yardage on the season just in this game against the Points. Go ahead.
Yeah, going off of what Jake said 2 weeks ago, or their last home game against Platteville, they really struggled in the kicking game, 5 missed kicks, and Jake touched on it when he was talking just now. The punting in the first half was pretty bad. A lot of shanks, a lot of
bad snaps as well.
Yeah, not a lot of length on the kicks, not a lot of hang time, but the Pointers defense also couldn't stop the run either, and that really and that really hurt them because Stout used the run. They used the run to set up the pass.
So what are the biggest things moving forward? And the last one we'll all touch on it. Ben, we'll start with you. What are the biggest things for the Pointers moving forward, either offensively, defensively, special teams, what have you? What do you think the biggest adjustment that needs to be made is?
Oh, man, I don't know.
There's too many to name, right?
Yeah. I think we can all agree that this is a lost season. So you're not playing for anything. You're not trying to angle your way into like an outright or an outside bid to the playoffs. So you have to figure out if you want to kind of work towards a future with Max Harrow as the quarterback and build around him, because him being a freshman, you're going to have all this time with them. Or if you want to kind of do the two quarterback system between him and Hermansky, and also try and figure out what you want to do with the running back side. With the running back, you touched on it that Shamaj Williams was kind of the featured back in this past weekend's game.
Didn't see a whole lot of Zach Bosek, who was listed number one in the depth chart.
And you saw more of Bosek in the earlier games of this season. So I think there's just too many decisions that need to be made.
A lot of shifting going on. Jake, why don't you touch on that?
Yeah. Bosek, again, listed as the number one back. We only saw him get maybe 3 or 4 carries, and he just hasn't been able to get going all season long.
And Jahai Stegall, we should mention this. Jahai Stegall was listed as the number 2 back. Shamaje Williams was 3rd on the depth chart.
3rd on the depth chart, and he ended up with over 20 carries. I'm not sure the exact number, but he was the workhorse in that game, and he looked good in that game, too. He was one of the small highlights for this Pointers offense. And again, points just coming out such unconventional ways. The actual regular 11-on-11 football, moving the ball up and down the field as an offense, wasn't really there for the Pointers this past Saturday. And the other biggest thing for me is you just have to decide what you're going to do as quarterback. You have 2 junior quarterbacks in Mitchell Neubauer and Matt Hermansky, and then you have a freshman quarterback in Max Harrow.
Yep. And
if you still continue this 2 or even 3 quarterback system all the way through next year when these guys are seniors, you're going to waste not only their senior year, but Max Harrow's sophomore year as well. And pretty soon he's going to be a junior before he actually is the number 1 overall starting quarterback.
Sorry, but you're not going to be able to get consistency going. You're not going to be
exactly.
able to. You're not going to be able to.
It looks like they're going the direction of Max Harrow, but we do have to move on. So the Pointers close out their home schedule Saturday when they take on 10th ranked. Yeah, this is going to be pretty. UW Oshkosh on Senior Day. Now, after losing all 3 of their matches at the Elmhurst College Tournament over the weekend, the Pointers women's volleyball team looked to rebound last night at home when they hosted UW River Falls. The Pointers controlled the first set from the beginning all the way to the end, winning the set 25-16. The Pointers then took a 2-0 lead with a 25-18 second set win. And then the Pointers, well, they completed that 3-set sweep with a dominant 25-12 third set win. You've heard this one before, so I'll say it again. April Gale and Ellie Adams had double-doubles in the victory. They are now 17-13. The Pointers volleyball team is on the season. So with only 2 regular season matches left, what does this team need to do in order to show people they can compete with the likes of UW Eau Claire and UW Whitewater, guys?
It starts, you mentioned they have 2 games left on the season, and it starts with their game, their next game, which is going to be against UW La Crosse.
Yes.
I think Lacrosse is 3-3 in conference overall and 15-11, or 3-3 in conference, 15-11 overall. So they're still a good team. I think they're 1 spot behind the Pointers in the WEAC standings. The Pointers, they're gonna need to beat the teams that they should, and they're gonna need to maybe play above themselves to try and, especially when it comes to conference tournament time.
Exactly.
They're gonna have to play mistake-free. I've been to a couple volleyball matches this season, and it seems like the matches that they've lost, that they've really struggled in, is where they start slow. So they can't start slow. They need to attack it from the get-go.
That's a very good point. Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, that's the key. If you can win that first set or 2, really position yourself for success. It's tough in volleyball when you go to that 5th set and you really got to battle back, especially against teams that may be slightly actually more talented than you. But this team works so well as a unit, and they're being led by their best 2 players in April Gale and Ellie Adams, who we mention every single week on this program, seemingly.
Yeah, just about. Double-doubles are just spewing out the mouth for them, and it's been an impressive season so far long. I was there again last night as the Pointers took a 3-0 victory. They look dominant, and I mean, I don't say that like it's an easy thing to say. This team, and I try not to use this label, they looked dominant, and I know UW River Falls, they haven't won a game in WIAC play quite yet, But nonetheless, I mean, UW-Stevens Point took control of that match from the beginning all the way to the conclusion. So that was impressive. April Gale leading the charge. She never took her foot off the court. Neither did Ellie Adams. We saw some nice contribution from off the bench. A lot of different girls that usually don't get PT were able to get in that game under the direction of head coach Lindsay Coy. So that's always a good note, but obviously a tough test coming up this weekend. So as mentioned, the Pointers look to continue their winning ways at home on Friday against UW La Crosse and on Saturday against Carthage College. After a season where they went 21-6-3 and returned to the NCAA Frozen Four for their 4th trip in 5 years, the Pointers men's hockey team looks to pick up where they left off from last season. The Pointers returned 6 all-conference players, most notably Tanner Carty. The offense will include a mix of 13 returners and 3 newcomers. The biggest question mark for this year's team is who will be the goalie, since 3-year starter and all-conference goaltender Max Milasek graduated. So guys, Ben, Jake, I know you're both huge into this hockey team. Quickly, what are some expectations for this team this upcoming season coming off that Frozen Four run?
Another trip to the Frozen Four. You can pencil them in every year. We'll talk about this later, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I think they'll figure out the goaltending situation, and they have a lot of returners led by Tanner Carty, all-conference, all-American player, and they'll be fine. I'm not worried about them. They might have a little early season struggles, which they have all the time. All the years I've been here at school, they kind of struggle around the Thanksgiving break area. Then after that, they pick it up, full head of steam, and they roll right into the playoffs and into the Frozen Four. So I'm not worried about the team.
Ben, you pretty much touched on almost exactly what I wanted to touch on. In a nutshell, 4 out of 5 trips out to Lake Placid, New York for the Final Four.
Making it 5 out of 6?
Making it 5 out of 6. And here's why. Not only what Ben just said about like Tanner Carty and the players who are leaders on this team, but we have a coaching staff who has done it before and is experienced, and even though they're relatively new, they're very, very close-knit with this team. And this team has a lot of young players, but also experienced players who have also been in this situation before.
Right.
Max Milasek being gone really is going to be a big deal. Goaltender in hockey, almost as important as, you know, having your quarterback exactly going.
And football.
Yeah, and again, I guess hockey players might even argue that it's more important, but I digress on that one. Max Milasek, such a fantastic goalie, such a fantastic teammate. Yeah. He's gone now after 3 years. Don't be discouraged, though, if you're a Pointers fan, if they do start slow. Ben mentioned that they usually stumble a little bit out of the gate around Thanksgiving break. They're going to be figuring out with a new goaltender, a new defensive scheme. Don't worry, though. Hockey is a game where you can really pick up steam, get rolling the later you go into the season, and expect a lot of success for this Pointers team.
Well, you heard it from the guys. They're pretty confident that this team can make it to the Frozen Four, so we will see if they can do that, and it seems like they can, coming in number 2 at the D3 hockey rankings to open the season. The Pointers open their season at home this Friday against Aurora University and Saturday against Trine University. After a quick commercial break, we'll be back with your weekly Motorsports update and all things Badgers and Packers football.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
It's a university where professors know your name and get you involved in research.
They inspire us to realize big dreams.
At UW-Stevens Point, sustainability is what we stand for.
Our beautiful campus encourages exploration, developing new fields, and problem solving for the real world.
It's a great place to launch your career.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
Apply today at uwsp.edu.
Welcome back. The Wisconsin Badgers football team got their 5th win of the season on Saturday, winning 49-20 over Illinois. The Badgers took advantage of 5 first-half turnovers, 5 to rout Illinois. The Badgers' rushing attack had another huge game, what's new, rushing for 357 yards. Alex Hornibrook had a pretty solid game, completing 13 of 22 passes for 188 yards and 3 touchdowns while tossing 2 interceptions, but we'll leave those off the table. Jonathan Taylor had another great game, rushing for 159 on 27 carries. Tight end Jake Ferguson led the Badgers in receiving with 3 receptions for 62 yards and a touchdown. So what can the Badgers learn from this game over a not-so-tough opponent in the Fighting Illini? Illini? Yeah, something like that. It's orange and it's a big I.
Well, Ben, I'll let you do a little bit deeper analysis, but I guess for me, there's really not, I mean, you can always learn something, but is there really that much that you can learn when you're playing a very subpar opponent?
Exactly.
You've already lost twice. in this season. You know what you've got in your running game and Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, very successful. And the running game as a total, they put up over 300 yards. You know what you have in Alex Hornibrook, who put up an Alex Hornibrook-like stat line. Just under
buck 88.
Buck 88, just under 200 yards, tossed a few touchdowns, but that evened out with a few interceptions. So for me, at least, this Badgers team, you pretty much know what they are, and they know what they are at this point. And not really much changed about that on the game this past Saturday.
Yeah, we were having our own fun in the snow, setting up for the homecoming game, so none of us were able to watch it, but capitalization is key. You talked about how the Badgers capitalized off the first half.
That's a lot of them, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take that lightly.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, that's
turnovers in, what is that, 30 minutes of football?
Yeah.
5 turnovers? Look, Illinois, that's really, really bad. Lovie Smith, you're better than that. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, not the best showing by Illinois, but
5 in the first half.
As Badger fans, we're kind of used to that. But capitalization is key, and also you need to feed Jonathan Taylor the ball. That offensive line was at its peak self on Saturday, and the fact that you have Jonathan Taylor, you also have Bradrick Shaw, you have Taiwan Deal, or you have Bradrick Shaw, so you have Jonathan Taylor, you have Taiwan Deal, you have that nice 1-2 punch. You really get that running game going, and that's going to win you games.
Let me pose this, guys. The Badgers now looking at 2 losses, which is not normal for them. I mean, this is a better football team than that should have 2 losses. But can we blame that on the team being somewhat one-dimensional offensively? We can't pass for a whole lot. Only 188 yards on a subpar Illinois defense in the air. So can we blame some of this, these small stoops this team is having on kind of a one-dimensional offense?
Yeah, I think you can, because at the beginning of the season, Alex Hornibrook wasn't at his best, and Jonathan Taylor was having a slow start combined with some of his fumble troubles in the early games. So yeah, I think you can blame those 2 losses on them being a one-dimensional team. And when they did get into ball games, it was late in the fourth quarter, late in the ball game in general, and they ran out of time.
There you go, Jake.
And they may be one-dimensional, and makes it even worse when the team already knows that you're kind of one-dimensional, and yet you still can beat them down so badly with your run game, which just makes it, as I mentioned, even worse that you don't have a passing game. Like Alex Hornibrook and the whole passing game needs to be better. They need to find a way to do more, because the Badgers are coming into this game and teams are expecting run, and you're still putting up 350 yards on the ground. So if you were able to open up the field and open up the playbook more with a successful passing game, this Badgers team would be crazy, probably unstoppable. But they are one-dimensional, and
on the offensive side.
On the offensive side, yes. And again, you mentioned a subpar Illinois team, and you still can't even put up 200 yards through the air.
Exactly.
That is not going to work, especially against better, more talented Big Ten opponents.
But nonetheless, Jonathan Taylor looking like he should be a Heisman finalist, but it looks like Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will lock that award up. Moving on, the Badgers play Northwestern on the road Saturday in a crucial conference game. We now throw it over to my guy, sports producer Joey Huebsch, for our weekly Motorsports Update.
Thanks, Alex. The elimination race for the round of 12 in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs took place Sunday at Kansas Speedway. Chase Elliott held off Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson to get his 3rd victory in the last 11 races. Elliott took the lead for the final time when Brad Keselowski made his final pit stop on lap 224. This was his 2nd win in the round of 12. Stewart-Haas Racing's Kevin Harvick was in position to get the win before he got caught speeding on pit road during his final pit stop. He led 76 laps and finished 12th. Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, and Alex Bowman were the 4 drivers eliminated from the playoffs. The Cup Series now heads to Martinsville Speedway for the first race in the round of 8. Chase Elliott will look to get redemption after last year's playoff race. The first race of the round of 8 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs took place Saturday at Kansas Speedway. John Hunter Nemechek captured his first career Xfinity Series victory and won by 5.2 seconds over Richard Childress Racing's Daniel Hemrick. However, the biggest moment of the race occurred in Turn 2 on lap number 1. Playoff contenders Justin Elgar and Christopher Bell got together off of Turn 2 and collected fellow playoff contenders Austin Cindric and Cole Custer in the wreck. Matt Tift, Justin Elgar, Cole Custer, and Austin Cindric are currently the 4 drivers below the cutoff line. The Xfinity Series is off this weekend, while the Camping World Truck Series is back in action this weekend for the first race in the round of 6. Formula One made its annual United States stop this last weekend, and Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen ended his 112-race winless streak by winning the U.S. Grand Prix over Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. The win also kept Sebastian Vettel's title hopes alive. The series now heads to Mexico City for the 19th round of the 2018 season. That is all I have for this week's Motorsports Update. I'll now send it back to our host, Alex.
Thanks, Joseph. Love the tie this week. The Green Bay Packers return from the bye week to start a critical stretch in their season. The Packers are currently second in the NFC North, just behind the Minnesota Vikings by half a game. 2 out of the next 3 games are on the road, and all 3 of them are against playoff contending teams. This week's game, well, ladies and gentlemen, is against the undefeated Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles. So, guys, I got to pose it because it is important to face it. Aaron Rodgers, the biggest underdog, according to Vegas, he's ever been as a starter in his career at 8.5 points. Do the Packers possess the abilities, the intangibles, and the weapons to upset the Los Angeles Rams in their hometown? Ben, it doesn't look like you're too skeptical.
Whew, man. I've been thinking about this game all week, and this being a Thursday when we're taping the show, oh, man, it doesn't look too good for the Packers.
No, it doesn't.
It's because they haven't – McCarthy can't decide on who the first-string running back is. You've had Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb, they haven't been able to stay healthy. Jimmy Graham still hasn't been fully involved in the offense. And then going over to the defensive side of the ball, you really don't have that much of a secondary in the safety position with Bryce and HaHa Clinton-Dix.
So long story short, you're saying no, they do not stand a chance?
There's always a chance.
That's why they play the game.
Yeah, there's any given Sunday, but I won't be surprised if the Packers lose.
Okay.
I don't think that they have a realistic chance, and I won't delve into the list of 20 reasons why. I think my biggest concern for the whole game is possibly the Green Bay offensive line and the fact that Rodgers is not really going to be able to get away from Aaron Donald.
Look, I shouldn't say I completely disagree, but he's more mobile right now than he's been pretty much the entirety of the season. So I think he still has a chance to at least extend plays, but get away from Aaron Donald is always a tough task, no matter if you're healthy or with 3 torn ACLs.
And that may
we have 2, by the way.
And that may be true, and he is more mobile. He might be able to get away a few times. But here's the thing: if you're the Packers and you're going into the 4th quarter down 35 or 38 to 10 or whatever, which is realistic. It's either you get Aaron Rodgers out of that game, or that is the time that he's going to probably get hurt because he probably has been running around and avoiding Aaron Donald for most of the game. So it's less about the Packers' offense and what they're going to be able to do this week as it is for me the fact that the defense will not be able to stop the Rams, and the Rams are just going to run up the score.
They played the game for a reason. I'm not going to sit here and spout off bias propaganda, if you will, but I will say this.
The Packers will win every game because they have Aaron Rodgers. Just kidding.
That's obviously not the case, Ben, but I'm saying there is a realistic possibility that this could be a wake-up call type game for Los Angeles, being at 7-0, so we'll see. But I do want to touch on briefly, while we have a couple seconds here, the next 2 games on the road in Los Angeles, on the road in New England. The Packers have to win one of those games in order to still contend for the playoffs this season. True or false?
True.
Yep.
Oh, very true. And honestly, I think we have a better chance of beating the Patriots.
I think both teams are beatable, but I think the Packers will only sneak one out. Quickly, we'll all say it at the same time. Packers or Rams this weekend? 1, 2, 3.
Rams.
Oh, unfortunately, Rams.
I'm gonna go Rams, but I think if the Packers come out and shock the world, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. Kickoff is set for 3:25 p.m. this Sunday. After our final commercial break, we'll be back with the MLB World Series, the Fall Classic, and our classic What's Bothering You segment. Welcome back. The World Series is underway. The Los Angeles Dodgers advanced to the Fall Classic by beating the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, and the Boston Red Sox advanced by beating the Houston Astros in 5 games in the American League Championship Series. The Red Sox took Game 1 of the aforementioned Fall Classic behind a pinch-hit 3-run homer by Eduardo Nunez. See ya! Winning 8-4 in Game 1. In Game 2, the Red Sox grabbed an early 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second before the Dodgers came back and took a 2-1 lead in the top of the fourth. The Red Sox then took the lead for good as they went on to win Game 2 when they plated 3 runs in the 5th inning. They took Game 2, as mentioned, winning 4-2. So who wins this series and why, guys? I mean, this has been pretty much all Red Sox through the first 2 games, but now we head to Los Angeles for 3.
Red Sox in 5. I think the Dodgers.
I'm with you.
The Dodgers will probably win Game 1 tomorrow night, but I think the Red Sox are going to bounce back. They're too dominant. That pitching and the hitting, and you mentioned it, the pinch hitting. They have timely contributions up and down the lineup. So Red Sox in 5.
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying that the Red Sox are going to win this entire postseason, and even much more before that. They won 108 games in the regular season. They're just the better team, and they definitely have the potential to. Or the Dodgers have the potential now heading back to LA. Baseball, of course, has that 2-3-2 format, so the Dodgers have a chance to take 2 out of 3 at home, maybe extend this to 6 or 7 games possibly. I don't really see it happening. I definitely agree with Ben. It's going to be 5 or 6 games, and the Red Sox are going to win, which I'm happy about.
I think I'm happy about it too, but it's the World Series. Anything can happen. I will take the Sox in 5 as well. Game 3 of the World Series tomorrow night, being Friday at Dodger Stadium. But into the NBA now, into the association. The Milwaukee Bucks continued their season on Wednesday night, topping the Philadelphia 76ers 123-108 in Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo, well, his first triple-double of the season. 32 points, 18 rebounds, which he's averaging on the season, and 10 assists. Guys, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, has the Bucks, who look freaky at 4-0.
Yeah, you can give Giannis the MVP right now. I think that's fair to say. Just kidding, but he's putting his name out there, early contention for the MVP. I like what I've seen out of him. Chris Middleton's been. I think Budenholzer is the perfect coach for Chris Middleton, especially
and Giannis.
Yeah, especially since they're shooting like almost 45 to 53 point attempts in a game this season, and last year under Kidd they were ranked 25th in the league, I think, in the 3-point attempts taken. Eric Bledsoe's played good so far, and Brook Lopez, that looks like a great signing.
Yeah, everybody's been playing fantastic. New building, new energy, new coach. Everything about this team just feels exciting and positive. And they're 4-0, as you mentioned. Besides for just Giannis and Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, who we picked up halfway through the season about last year, and he didn't really do too much to impress Bucks fans as a whole. He's looking great so far this season. So again, the Bucks playing really well. They put up 71 points on the Knicks in the first half the other night. 71. Unfortunately, the Knicks did battle back after only a 17-point third quarter, but ultimately the Bucks able to pull out an overtime win and stay undefeated on the season.
A very good basketball team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, as mentioned, 38, 18, and 10. Coach Budenholzer is evolving this team with the times, becoming, as Ben mentioned, a 3-point prominent team, which is really good to see. They have the shooters, it seems like, and Giannis, 18 boards a game he's averaging on the dot through 4 games this season. That's a lot of rebounds, in case you guys didn't know that. A lot of them. 18 a game! That'll wrap up the show. Each of us will spend a couple of minutes talking about a sports topic that has been bothering us lately. So, Benjamin, all the way on the end, you're always fired up about something. Get it off your chest. Let us hear it.
Oh, something that all 3 of us being Brewer fans are quite familiar with. What's bothering me is Manny Machado and Yasiel Puig. We talked about us 3 talked about it on Sports Beat on 90 last week about why we have a problem with Manny Machado stepping on Jesus Aguilar's leg as he was running through first. Well, I guess you can say walking through first base, because as Machado says, he's not Johnny Hustle. But so there's that. It was evident that Machado did it on purpose, and then you know that if something happened to Machado, the floodgates would open and he wouldn't shut up about it. But then Yasiel Puig, Game 7, Saturday night. Jake and I were out watching the game, and Yasiel Puig hits that. I think it was a 3-run homer out to left center, gave the Dodgers the lead for good in that game. As he's rounding first, starts grabbing his crotch, celebrating, gyrating and stuff. Why? I just don't understand what he does. And then he's like, he's always talking about, oh, Puig, your friend. He's not my friend. I wouldn't want him as my friend or Machado as my friend. They're dirty players. They're bad for the game of baseball. And I just don't understand what the problem is. They just frustrate me, and I'm so...
Puig, my friend, I wouldn't want him as my friend.
I wouldn't. Who would? And I'm glad the Brewers didn't trade Ryan Braun for Puig. I'm glad that trade didn't go through. I really don't like those two players.
Jake, what's bothering you?
It is really interesting that both Puig and Machado were
linked to the Brewers.
Yes, they were the crystal in Brewers fans' eye for a little while at both different times. But again, I'm also happy that neither of them ended up in our clubhouse. Mine is pretty short. What's bothering me, the Los Angeles Lakers are sitting at 0-3 now, I believe. LeBron is 0-4. Either way, LeBron.
They don't have a win on the season.
They don't have a win on the season. And here we go again, just like every year. LeBron is on a new team. He's in a new system. He's under a new coach. He hasn't won a game. And all the networks and all the sports fans.
They got a win last night. They're 1-3.
Okay.
They beat Phoenix.
Okay, so they beat Phoenix, thank God.
The worst team in the league from the season ago, yes.
Anyway, basically what's bothering me is just that we do this every single year with LeBron. He starts out slow, and it's nothing but questions. Is this team going to be able to get it done? Is LeBron regressing? Is this? Is that? And the answer is simply no. This is an unprecedented team. LeBron has never played on a team like this before, ever. He doesn't have an actual proven-it superstar on this team like he has in the past, so that's even less reason to worry right off the bat. He's playing with a bunch of young kids who have extreme talent, so just let them be. Let this team come around and quit covering LeBron so in-depth at the beginning of every single season.
Yeah.
Just let it be.
That's fair. I'm with you. I'm on the LeBron train. I do like him, so I'm with you. Stop criticizing him. He's the king. He's the best player we've seen in the last 2 decades.
It's going to be fine.
He'll be fine.
He's going to be fine.
But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to address the camera this evening, as I would like to tell you what's bothering me. Mr. Reggie McKenzie, a product of the Green Bay Packers, now the GM over in Oakland, soon to be Vegas Raiders. Reggie, you signed John Gruden from the Monday Night Football booth to a 10-year, $100 million contract. My numbers are correct there, I believe.
Yes.
Were you off your medicine that day? Because this guy is an absolute idiot. I mean, I love John Gruden. He's hilarious. But as a football coach, he's lost it just like he lost his brain a few years ago in a Monday Night Football booth. This guy doesn't know how to head a professional football team, and we see that so far. Derek Carr, he was supposed to be the quarterback of the future. Let's yank his top target away. Khalil Mack, well, he's the next Lawrence Taylor. Let's yank him away. Listen, John, stop moving everybody. Stop changing things. Just do your job. Reggie, you've got a big problem on your hands, and he's all 5'8" in the bowl cut that John Gruden has. With that said, that's all we've got for today's show. I'd like to thank the beautiful Ben, the beautiful Jake for joining me today. A big thank you to our technical staff, Big Mike, Paul, and Joey, for all their hard work. They make this possible. Be sure to get us on the socials, Facebook, SPTV, UWSP Television, or follow us, tweet us, whatever you got to do, at SPTV_UWSP. Athletics.uwsp.edu. All your athletic information where you can find that. That's athletics.uwsp.edu. We'll see you next week on The Hub.